What up, YouTubers? It's your boy, The Visionary. Welcome to another episode of Fireside Chats Preludes, bringing you the latest and current events that matter to me the most. Three topics I want to talk about. The caveat to these topics, I would like to say, refer back to the last video I put up, U.S. foreign policy failures and the rise of campaign rhetoric. And in that, the caveat for that video was basically the whole idea that that there has been this extreme amount of tension placed on the American people and our foreign policy actions in the Middle East and Europe. And what has happened is that we've become very aggressive in order to pass certain laws or to finish certain military objectives in the Middle East and yada yada. So what has been going on over there is that there has been a backlash, a pushback of all the things that we've been doing in these countries, and it's very visible. So as these things are happening, as you start to feel the effects of the backlash or the pushback from the Middle East and Europe and yada yada yada, you're starting to see that now all of a sudden there's this show, this dog and pony show, where we're starting to go, you know what, we're going to roll back some of the very archaic and draconian legislation that it's really unconstitutional, it's very totalitarian. And you see it with the whole Kerry visiting the middle, going to Israel and Palestine and trying to work out a deal, and he made the whole thing very public, like, oh, we're gonna sit down and have peace talks. Mind you, he could have done that almost like months ago when the 2012 elections were happening and when they had the breaking of the ceasefire where the Israelis start shooting on Palestinians. But no, there was no actual envoy going down there, and it was very direct and in your face. Surprising, I don't know why they didn't send or at least make a very public show of them sending someone down there specifically to handle that situation and to, you know, broker some type of deal. But yeah, so you've been seeing that. So the topics I'm going to be talking about are topics that are about domestic issues that show that there's sort of a rollback of certain laws or ideas or certain things that have more or less been put in place because of this supposed war on terror, and so we need to protect our liberties and stuff like that. So topic number one, order that the police wear cameras stirs unexpected reactions. More than a decade in office, Mayor Michael R. Bloomberg has often championed the use of cutting-edge technology to help solve age-old problems in New York. When it comes to law enforcement, the mayor and his police commissioner, Raymond W. Kelly, have steadfastly supported the increasing use of video surveillance as one of the more effective means to yada yada. I think this is a very good idea to have video recorded evidence of police interaction with citizens, because as I've done some research on this a little bit, there have been a number or massive rise in complaints about the police and in regards to the stop and frisk procedures that have been going on. There's been a very big and intense backlash due to the complaints and the people basically pushing back. I remember reading earlier than this, that Michael and Bloomberg was actually trying to go for a, I would say a private, or I would say a public committee that's specifically tasked with overseeing the NYPD police department. And I don't know, that story kind of like disappeared and got swept under the rug. And I thought that was a good idea. But now I'm looking at this, and it seems to be an odd, I don't know, paranoia that I have about this, that it's strange that he was going for that committee, but then they had to settle for the cameras, and Bloomberg himself, as the article states, is like, I'm not really in favor of this currently right now. Actually, it says the mayor and police commissioner, but whatever. The actual story was like he wasn't in favor of it, period. But yeah, I think this is a good idea. And it's interesting that, you know, now that Kelly is going to be promoted to the head of Homeland Security, I wonder who they're going to put in his place. And I wonder how long this is going to last, because this is something that I feel is actually very needed. And number two, something that cannot be corrupted as easily as a committee. Because if you have a committee of people overseeing the actions and activities of the NYPD, you know, they can be corrupted, they can be talked to, they can be bought off, and then shit can go down the drain. So that's topic number one. Topic number two, Eric Holder seeks to cut mandatory minimum drug sentences. The Justice Department will no longer pursue mandatory minimum sentences for certain low-level, non-violent drug offenders. Attorney General Eric Holder said Monday, noting the nation is coldly efficient in jailing criminals, but that it cannot prosecute or incarcerate its way to becoming safer. Too many Americans go to too many prisons for far too long and for no truly good law enforcement reason, Holder told the American Bar Association's House of Delegates in San Francisco. This was like from left field. Pretty much this article is basically saying that they are technically decriminalizing non-violent drug offenders. Period. That's it in a nutshell. I've noticed that actually over the last couple of years there have been a number of other states who have basically relaxed the Rockefeller laws that have done the whole mandatory mandatory drug sentences for certain people that break the law. So I find this kind of good, but I also find this kind of very opportune and very suspicious that he's doing this all now, as part of this whole, I guess you can call it PR campaign, where they're starting to roll back all of the very draconian and archaic type of legislation that have been in New York. That one specifically, because there's been massive talks about either decriminalizing marijuana or just making it pure legal. There are certain states where it's legal only in certain contexts, where you have to, if you have medical issues or you need it for medicine and stuff like that. But I just, there's a part of me that's like, this is very opportune, that he's now releasing this shit on top of all the issues that were popping off before the scandals. I mean, after the scandals, particularly the Trayvon Martin situation, where he had to, put his 2 cents into it, and there was no point in him putting his 2 cents into it. I don't know why he was going, getting all buddy-buddy with Al Sharpton or giving him tips on how to start something, but hey, it is what it is. Keep your eyes peeled out for that. Topic number 3. Judges rules NYC, New York City stop and frisk policy unconstitutional. City vows appeal. The federal judge ordered Monday that the New York Police Department's controversial stop and frisk policy be altered, finding that it violates the Constitution in part by unlawfully targeting blacks and Latinos. But city officials bristled at the contention that police could racially profile suspects and vowed to appeal the ruling, contending the police have cut crime. This shit in a nutshell, in my personal opinion, caveat, I'm going to build the context for this. With the whole 9/11 and the whole war on terror, obviously there have been a number of laws, very draconian or unconstitutional laws that have been passed that basically roll back all of the constitutional guarantees that we have from the Bill of Rights and so on and so forth. Now, all of these laws that are coming into place are basically designed to put the United States in a state of oppression. That's basically what it is. So before, 1960s, Jim Crow era and all that shit, you have a populace who were already being either attacked or beaten or abused by police and other officials. And on its lowest cusp, you have basically, no protection of the law. You move it to 2013, and it slowly became that, to the point where stop and frisk, which is on the surface supposed to allow cops to do their job to stop anyone from doing terrorist threats, are really being used to basically rewind the clocks back and, do whatever the fuck they want to minorities on the streets. Now, I do not think this is a really widespread issue or problem, but I don't know what to say, because I've been seeing videos of other, whites getting, caught up in dumb shit, yo, give me a gun, or some other shit. So I think this is something that affects everybody, but under the surface, this was going for something else. This whole shit was basically being used to basically undermine people's rights on the whole, just like all the NDAA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, the Monsanto Protection Act. All these laws were basically put into place to undermine people's natural liberties in and of itself. Now that you're starting to see the rollback in all the laws, or these dog and pony shows where they get in front of the cameras and they shake hands and they go, oh, you know what, we're going to start repealing this, we're going to start changing that. I think there's something that's happening under the surface of all this, because I think they notice that the American people are very pissed, and they know something's going to happen, and they're trying to prevent that by giving everyone little cabins here and there, period. Alright, that's it for today's show. Thank you for watching. Peace.